On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, Chinese car carriers are sailing right past Yemen. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So if you follow What's Going On with Shipping, there have been two kind of theme stories that kind of repeat themselves quite a bit on this channel. One of them involves ships accidents, and the accidents in particularly we cover quite a bit are fires and accidents on board car carriers. This is Morning Midas up in the Northern Pacific, recently sunk. This is the Gran Costa d'Avorio in Newark, New Jersey. 2 years ago in 2023, 2 Newark firefighters were killed on board her. This is Fremantle Highway on fire, coast of the Netherlands. 1 crew member died on board. And then the other story we cover a lot is the Houthi and their attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. This is the recent sinking of the motor vessel Eternity Sea. Well, now we have these reports that car carriers, in particularly Chinese car carriers, are returning to the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and our favorite, the Bab el-Mandab, to sail directly from China to Europe. Now, this is a remarkable change in what we've been seeing happening. We're going to discuss why we think that's happening and what does this mean going forward. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come out. Story over at Container News, one of the world's largest vehicle carriers completes transit through the Suez Canal. Container News had some information given to them directly by Admiral Osama Rabi, the chairman and managing director of the Suez Canal Authority. The BYD Shenzhen was carrying about 7,000 vehicles on board. You measure car carriers by what are called CEUs. We have TEUs on container ships. On car carriers, we have CEUs, car equivalent units. Rabi has now noted that this is an encouraging sign of steady vehicle car carrier traffic through the area. He highlighted expectations for more frequent voyages by the BYD shipping line, in addition to consistent passages by COSCO Shipping in collaboration with Neptune Lines. He also notes 2 recent transits were completed under a new service launched in February by United Global Ro-Ro. They are linking Far Eastern ports with destination in the Mediterranean and Northwest Europe. All right, so the resumption of car carriers going through are a remarkable change because when you look at the stats from the Suez Canal, car carriers have been one group that have avoided the canal since the attacks by the Houthi. This chart compiled by Joachim Hannesdahl over on Twitter he puts this out about once a week. It's a great summation of what's happening, but I want to highlight 2 aspects here of the chart. One, obviously you have the big drop here in the vessels at the Suez Canal, and you see the overall drop here, just about 40% of a total drop. But notice car carriers here. Car carriers are almost at 90%, and car carriers literally fell off the chart here at the end of 2023 into 2024, where periodically you may have 1 or 2 transits through the canal. So why are we seeing the car carriers return? Now, if you're unfamiliar with BYD, they are a Chinese car manufacturer. They got their start in doing batteries, but they are doing all aspects of the car, including the distribution and delivery of the vehicles to different countries. And that's what I want to talk about now with you. And why is it that BYD is willing to risk their ships carrying electrical vehicles through the Red Sea? Because as we know, electrical vehicles, when they catch fire on board ships, are impossible to put out. And what we've seen happen is a lot of ships lost because of having electrical vehicles on board. I'm not saying the electrical vehicles started the fire. I'm just saying that when electrical vehicles get involved in a fire, they're nearly impossible to put out. Believe me, firefighter back here, firefighter for over 20 years. Electrical cars are a beast. They're a terrible one. And once they catch fire, the normal procedure on board ship is to seal the compartment, flood it with CO2, carbon dioxide, but the CO2 doesn't put out the battery fire because lithium ion oxidizes, creates its own oxygen. It keeps burning. So why is this significant? So I went into marine traffic and pulled up the 7 BYD ships that are currently in or coming into service. There are a couple of vessels that are coming into service right now. But if you look at where BYD delivers their vessels or their cars, it's largely into a couple of places. One, out of China, they're going into Europe. Now, they were going around Africa. You can see actually one ship right now, BYD Changsha, is heading around Africa and heading up to Europe. They also deliver them over to South America, to Brazil. And then there is a trans-Pacific route that's going across across here into Mexico and delivering those vehicles into Mexico. But the one in question here is this route going through the Red Sea. And what you see here is 3 vessels. BYD Xi'an, which is up in Livorno in Italy. The BYD Haifa, which is coming southbound now through the Red Sea. And now the largest vessel in the fleet, as a matter of fact, the largest car carrier in the world, the BYD Shenzhen, is heading into the Gulf of Aden to the Bab el-Mandab and up into the Red Sea. And this vessel is not hiding its identity. It's not doing anything. It's not even broadcasting on AIS that it has a Chinese crew on board like many other vessels are doing. It is saying its destination is the Suez. And I'm going to come back to why I think the Chinese don't have to do this in a second. So Shenzhen is 721 feet long, 16 decks, absolute monster of a vessel. Uses dual fuel engines. They burn liquefied natural gas that cuts sulfur oxide emissions by 99%, nitrogen oxides by 65%, actually rechannels energy back into the ship to reuse. But the reason that BYD is growing their fleet up to 7 vessels is because in 2019, the company sold just under 500,000 vehicles. In 2021, it sold 750,000 vehicles. In 2022, 1.9 million vehicles. And now it's decided to invest $687 million to build its own 7-ship roll-on, roll-off fleet. And the reason they're doing that is in 2024, the charter cost for a vessel was about $150,000. The company estimates that by buying their own fleet, this can save up to $4.5 million a month in leasing fees. They're estimating that the per vehicle shipping expenses drop 30 to 40% and can save up to $1.4 billion annually. Now, BYD has 3 more ships to go once Shenzhen's twin vessel, the Changsha, comes into service. Overseas shipping surged 124% year over year to 133,361 vehicles in the first quarter of 2025, and the company is set to export 800,000 vehicles around the world this year. That's 1 car shipped every 30 seconds. Give you an idea, Hyundai Glovis, which is Hyundai's logistical subsidiary, manages about 60 ships and has just ordered a dozen 10,800 vehicle LNG-powered carriers. BYD is investing heavily into this market. They are building their ships. They're going to have a 7-ship fleet up and operating. So that raises the question. We just had 2 very public sinkings of bulk carriers going through the Red Sea, the Magic Sea and the Eternity Sea. Crew members killed, other crew members held hostage by the Houthi. Then why take the chance and sail your largest ship through that region loaded down with electrical vehicles? Because all it takes is one hit on that vessel, and you're talking about losing 9,000 EVs. And obviously BYD is in a marketplace where they want to be moving these vehicles fast. So a couple of reasons come to mind here. So number one, that the Chinese government is ensuring or offsetting the downward side of this cost. To sail through this region, you got to pay war risk. War risk is running anywhere from 0.5% to 1% of the value of the vessel. These ships are going to be extremely expensive because of the vehicles on board, because of the cars. You're talking about $500 million probably value of the vessel. It is much cheaper, much more efficient to go around Africa and to be safer that way. However, if BYD is trying to get its cars in the market, they need speed. They need to go the quickest, fastest route, so they're willing to take that chance. Second, these ships could be escorted by the Chinese squadron that is based in Djibouti. We don't have evidence of that. I haven't seen any images of this, but there's not a lot coming out about the Chinese escort squadron out in the region. We know they have been escorting vessels in and out of Djibouti. We've seen that. But they may be escorting these vessels much like the European Union has been doing for their high-value vessels, such as CMA CGM. Third, the Chinese or BYD may be paying the Houthis off. They may have an agreement in place so that the Houthis will not target us. Remember that the very first ship that the Houthis targeted way back in November of 2023 was a car carrier. Galaxy Leader was a huge coup for the Houthis. They were able to helicopter onto the ship, seize it. The ship was being operated by an Israeli company, so there was a lot of visibility. Now, The Houthi have avoided largely attacking Chinese vessels. There was a vessel early in the Maersk Gibraltar, which was flying the Hong Kong flag, that was subjected to an attack, but largely the Houthi have avoided it. While the head of the Suez Canal Authority sits there and says COSCO is sailing through the region, you should note that the big container ships of COSCO and OOCL are not. This is a track line for the OOCL and the COSCO big ultra-large container vessels. And you'll see they're not heading to the Red Sea. This is over the past year. took this back a year, back to July of 2024. And you see the vessels don't go through the Red Sea. They go all the way around. And so I'm kind of the belief here that China is pretty comfortable, or BYD at least, is very comfortable that they are going to take the risk and run their largest car carriers in the world with electrical vehicles past the Houthi without fear of attack. Now, you can sit there and say, well, the Chinese aren't condoning what's happening in Israel and Gaza. However, China is one of the largest trading partners with Israel right now. This story from The Star talks about the fact that Chinese car maker BYD tops Israel's electric car sales in January of October. Now, this is 2024. Talks about how BYD Auto topped the electric car market. Total sales reaching 15,778. So if the Houthi are targeting ships that are dealing with Israel, well, BYD is definitely one of them. I think this indicates that there's more going on with the Houthi than just targeting ships that are somewhat indirectly connected to Israel. They are very selective in their targeting process. BYD has an interest in Israel. China has an interest in Israel. Again, second largest trading partner with Israel is China behind the United States. So there is a lot of influence there. But here we see Chinese car carriers expediting their shipments up into Europe. Now, they're not going to Israel directly. They're heading up into Europe. Livorno up in the Mediterranean seems to be their primary offload point. But we are seeing those car carriers head by. So again, it creates more of a nuance about what is happening in the Red Sea. Should note that BYD has had no problem so far in the transportation of electrical vehicles, although what we tend to see on these car carriers is fires starting. We don't know where some of these fires start because, unfortunately, when there's electrical vehicles on board and they get involved, we tend to lose the ship. So we just don't know where the point of origin is. So we'll keep you posted on this and an upcoming story. Get ready for myself and Patrick Durham over from Stash Training. We're going to be doing a dual video together. We're going to be talking about the decision by Matson Lines, the shipping line that connects the West Coast to Hawaii and Guam, to halt the shipment of electrical vehicles on their vessels. We're going to talk about that in our next story. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? You can give it a big thumbs up, you can share it across social media, and you can hit the super thanks button down below, or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly, yearly subscriber. Until the next video, this is Sal, signing off.